Hello, everyone. This is Calvin Russell, CEO and founder of 850 Club Credit Consultation. Hope everyone's doing well today. Today, we're going to talk about, can you trade in your car and it's about to get repossessed? I know that, of course, it's a tough conversation to have, but the answer is yes. Okay, so let me go and explain how you can do this. Okay, so for those who don't know, I've worked at the dealership for, I sold cars for over 6 years. And during that time frame, there were most definitely clients that would come in and they were essentially trying to trade in their vehicle. Anytime you're trying to trade in your vehicle and you still have a balance due, and just so you guys know, you can have a balance due whether you are about to have a repossession or you're not about to have a repossession. A balance due is essentially, is your current car that you're trading in, is that balance paid off? And if it's not, then you have a balance due, okay? When you have that balance due, they have to call to get what they call a payoff. A payoff essentially is the exact number that includes the daily per diem. Also, a per diem is essentially the daily interest, okay? And unless you have 0%, but even then, they're still going to give you what they call a 10-day payoff. But either way, they're going to ask for what they call a 10-day payoff. And essentially, that number is already calculated. That way, a person knows what that amount is. If you guys have ever logged into your auto loan account and you've seen that you have a balance that's there, you'll usually see an asterisk and it says, hey, that this is not the payoff balance, because that's just the balance that's like remaining. But at the same time, it's not a per diem. So for example, unless like in most cases you owe thousands of dollars on a vehicle, right? In which you usually can't just do, you could do a wire or whatever, but they usually send a check. When they send a check to the person who owns the car, the auto lender per se, when they send a check to them, it's supposed to have that correct amount. Okay, I could do so many videos on how the dealership just does certain things, but either way, we're going to keep this short and simple. When they call to get that payoff amount, right? That's usually they'll transfer them. Sometimes they'll transfer them to the collections department. So it's just like if you called and tried to get a payoff, and you guys know, I don't know if everyone hasn't been in this situation, but I've most definitely been there in the past in my life. And when you're calling trying to make a payment and you're already behind, then they send you over to that special collections department. And not collections meaning that it's a collection of your credit report, but that's usually what they call the recovery department or whatever. Anyway, when you're behind, sometimes they don't send you to like the regular representative. Sometimes you get transferred over to, more trained professionals, to try to, recover that money that's due. And I've even seen situations where a person was about 3 or 4 months behind on their auto loan. And when they were 3 to 4 months behind on that auto loan, they essentially, I got transferred over when I made the call to get the payoff. And they said, hey, is a client there right now? It's like, yeah, they're right in front of me. And I said, okay, great. And they said, well, is the vehicle there right now? I'm like, yeah, it's right outside. Okay, great. Thank you so much. We're going to put you on hold. And now all of a sudden you see a tow truck come within about an hour. But by that time, we had already finalized the transaction. So at that point in time, they did have to pay the tow truck fee. It just really depends on how your lender is. But in most cases, 90%, maybe 95%, 95% of the time, they're going to have a balance due. So let me give you a basic scenario. Let's say a person, usually first off, if you are about to get your car repossessed, that means you're anywhere between 2 to 4 payments behind, depending on the auto lender. Some let you go over 4 months, but most are usually going to start, looking for that car around 2 to 4 months. When that time frame happens and you're that behind, essentially you're behind 2 to 4 months payments. Let's say your payment is, let's say $400 a month. So let's say you're 4 months behind. So that's $400 a month times 4 payments. That means you're behind $1,600. What happens is the only way that deal is going to, that deal is going to actually go through is that they add that negative balance to the next vehicle. Essentially, they have to get that vehicle caught up. Yes, that vehicle has a payoff amount, but in most cases, they want to get those payments as well too, because it just really depends on the calculations. Most calculations assume that payment has already been made or the payoff is going to be off. So to keep that from happening, just to play it safe, they usually add that difference. Or another way to do it is a person can put that money down. Now, here's the catch. And this is another problem that a lot of people don't think about. When you're about to get a car repossessed, your score has obviously, been tanked because of that, unless you were like in the high sevens. And then you can afford about 3 or 4 late payments and might still be in the low sixes, maybe high fives. But in most cases, that's usually not, the situation for two reasons. Number one, if you're in the sevens, you're probably not going to be, that late that many times, but things do happen in people's lives. The other scenario is, if the score is going to be dropped, now you are more than likely going to put money down anyway. It's amazing how people have $5,000 down or $3,000 down and they're behind on their car payment. Like, where the hell did the money come from? You didn't pay, but people have their, paying bill priorities a little bit different, So, but the short version is you most definitely can trade in a vehicle that you owe a balance on, or that you're behind on payments on, or they're looking for repossession. Obviously, just be prepared to pay that, whatever those months are. So if you are 2 or 3, 4 or 5 months behind, whatever that is, be prepared to put that, into the next vehicle. Obviously, they're going to see those numbers, so be upfront to your salesperson about that. Sometimes they can hide that inside the profit, right? They just reduce their number and then, adjust the pricing a little bit. So that means the dealership pays a little bit less too, because now that amount of money now goes to the next, of course, the previous lender, okay, as a part of the payoff amount. So again, just be upfront. I think a lot of things that people find themselves in situations, you just got to be upfront. And as long as you're upfront more about certain types of situations, then you'll see that, hey, you most definitely can do this, okay? And just be upfront with them. And of course, not to make this video too long about the dealership itself, but if your license is suspended, tell the salesperson. If you don't have a license, tell the salesperson. If you don't have a job, but you got money, tell the salesperson. There again, the lender's job is to, not the lender, I'm thinking on the home buying side, but the finance person, the finance manager is what they call them. The finance person, they know that they have banks for all different types of scenarios. You just got to be upfront, be honest, and that's how you got to do it, especially if you know your situation is not the best. Now, if your situation is the best, you can call the shots, right? Because you know the game. But if you need them more than they need you, just be upfront, because you're going to waste a lot of time inside the dealership, because what's going to happen is they're going to have a bank that's going to approve you, but then it's based on certain terms, but then those terms you lied about, and now it's like, hey, show us proof of, and now hours have gone by when you could have just been upfront and honest about it, okay? So again, you can most definitely trade in a vehicle that's about to get repossessed, all right? So if you like this video, like it, you want to share it. And as always, be sure to subscribe, as we have nothing but great content on the way. Thank you all so much. Have a great day. But you know what? Actually, before I wrap this video up, I did want to say, sometimes people think that a vehicle is about to get repossessed just because of late payments. Sometimes a car, just got, into an accident, and the insurance company has, they haven't yet, decided how they're going to deem certain things. The adjuster, could be time frames. You still have to make the payments on that car. It's not up to the insurance company. If the insurance company does make a payment, if the insurance company does decide to pay off the vehicle, but you got a car payment coming up, what's going to end up happening is they're going to send you a check for the difference. But what happens all the time, people say, oh, I thought the insurance was going to pay that. You got to be on top of this. It's just like a medical bill. You get that bill from the hospital and your insurance hasn't paid it yet, you need to pay that. So, and then they'll go ahead and pay you. Otherwise it's going to be on your credit and you're going to be upset. And that's also another reason too, because that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be a repossession. That just means that you haven't been on top of that. But usually it doesn't take 2, 3, 4, 5 months for insurance to go ahead and pay off a total car. So just keep that in mind. See you guys on the next video.